Business aviation firm Falcon Aerospace Limited has launched 2 technology platforms designed to ease business jet bookings and make access to the service more inclusive. The firm introduced the products at a recent event in Lagos where it unveiled its operational business units. According to CEO Erefa Achum, Falcon Aerospace business model derives from the increased demand for business aviation by more Africans doing business across and outside Africa and non-Africans flying into the continent for business and tourism.
Falcon is all about innovation, inclusivity. We want to democratize access to business aviation, and if you've been following the conversations we had here today, we want to bring industrialization to Africa, want to connect Africa to the world, and we're bringing all of it. We're bringing that access. We're bringing that business opportunity. We want to make ease of doing business, right? Business aviation sometimes seems like a niche, and something people can access, but we're opening the space up for people to be able to book on their phones, for people to be able to have easy access to business aviation, which is why Falcon is starting out today.
The number one thing I'm going to advise them on is to keep their promise, on schedule efficiency. Move when you should move. That's what everybody needs. So people will pay that extra when they know that they get to the airport, in 30 minutes they are boarded, and the flight departs, right, at the time it is scheduled to depart.
If you want to go far, go together, right? We do believe strongly in the synergies that exist, not just within Africa, right, but all around the world. So if you even look at our business, the business model, we are more or less aggregating operators. So we believe strongly in synergies, right? And that is really the in quotes, right? The secret behind the success. Synergies, synergies, synergies.
All right, from aviation to human resources, with the advancements in technology, businesses expect more from HR professionals. Aside from managing HR processes, they now need to track activities and productivity to improve those processes. And joining us to discuss further is Erefa Koka. She's the founder of HRSO Africa. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
What's your assessment of where human resources is? You just had an event, what was it, yesterday, the day before?
Yesterday.
Cool, so your best place to tell us, where's HR right now?
So in 2023, the focus of HR, it's a bit diverse. So HR should be focusing on retention of employees, focusing on data, focusing on diversity and inclusion, focusing on well-being of employees, and also using technology, and then more importantly, hybrid work. People don't want to work from the office again. There's a study by McKinsey that says 85% of the people that they spoke to would rather work 25% out of office and 75% in the office. Because hybrid is here to stay and is not going anywhere. So HR people then need to use technology to make sure, because when you're working remotely, the first thing I always say is trust is the currency. You have to be able to trust that people work. Now, if you look back, take Nigeria, for example, before the pandemic, it was very rare. And we had a conference, because we do this annual conference every year, the HRE Work Festival. And I remember I was chairing a keynote panel discussion, and I was asking the panelists, would you give flexi work to your employees? Will you let them work from home? No, they're not going to work from home, blah, blah, blah. Boom, 2020, the following year, pandemic.
And there you go.
And we had no choice. Some people actually, even when they called back to the office, most people worked from home for the rest of the year. Some people extended it to the following year, and they started bringing people back, gradually back into the office. So hybrid is here to stay. It's not going, it's not a fast that, when we build these nice offices, people will come back. People want to stay at home. They want to watch their children. They want to be able to take their children to school. And so the technologies like time tracking, software that tracks productivity and things like that. And then you're also looking at employee well-being, because at the end of the day, they will leave if they feel that they're not cared for, if they're not, if you don't take an interest in their, whether it's there's even something about financial well-being as well. And if you look at it, there are a lot of companies helping businesses give advance to their staff, because obviously not every organization is able to pay you before your salary. So you have to focus on their financial well-being, and also means that you don't want the employee borrowing 80% or 90% of their salary before the end of the month. So you have to be able to do sessions where you're advising them on how to manage their income and things like that, making sure that they get the best of everything there. And then data is very important in human resource, because data shows you where you are in the organization. Data can almost predict when your leavers are going to leave, because you're going to go through backlog of data. Okay, when we get, how is our onboarding process? Do they leave after 3 months? Do they leave after 6 months? So data is very important so those are the things that the focus on. Diversity and inclusion. How inclusive are we? When we think of diversity and inclusion, we think of the US, America, white people, but are we even diverse? In some places, some people don't even hire outside of their religion, so things like that has to be very, and also employee experience. Now, there's also candidate experience. Because of the world of social media, the Gen Z, before they even get into, they want to search up about your company, they want to look at your social media. So what is our candidate experience? Then, before, HR was the mini god. You go into, I'm sure you heard about the, what's the story that was trending on social media?
Yeah.
I like your, you smell nice.
Yes,
where
which just blew up into a huge debate.
So, which is not, it's not a big deal, because it's a candidate experience. That candidate will not take the job in the organization. And obviously, Nigeria is also changing from the point where it is an employer's market. There's a talent shortage all over the world. We also have our own jackpot trend where people are leaving. And then even in the US, they had the great resignation last year where people were resigning, people would just get tired of their job. So from the minute I apply for the position in your organization, there has to be a candidate experience. You have to give me feedback. You have to talk to me and things like, otherwise I'll go to somewhere else, or I don't want to work in your organization. And the Gen Zs have an option. They're not going to care whether they have a job. They want to make sure they get the right job where they're going to thrive and where they're going to live. And then there's upskilling of middle managers. So that means you have to upskill your middle managers to be able to get into the current state of technology, make sure and also there's skill-based hiring. So we're gone from the days of, you have to have a 2-1, you have to have a degree. Most software developers in Nigeria are probably not even, they just know how to code. So that's the trend of HR, state of HR is at 2023, and HR professionals need to be able to follow those trends.
Thank you for that. That was very robust, very, very robust indeed. So wait, with what you do, and help us here, do firms outsource HR tasks to you?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They do. So from a cost perspective, most organizations have a lean HR department. If you have 2,000-3,000 employees, you don't want to have 40 people. Back in the days, HR departments, just because it's paper pushing, they just somebody signs this. But now with technology, you can just have like 3 people managing 2,000, and they outsource things like that. And even us that we are an outsourcing firm, we use technology to drive these things. We are managing, because we might be managing like 200 from this organization, another 300. So if you can't, you have to, obviously, software and things like that. And AI too is also helping. You can check data quicker. You can do different things that you want.
And so, as far as what you've mentioned, and we've been listing a bunch of things on the screen that tech can do to improve it. Are these tools effective? They
are very effective.
Yeah,
they are very effective, and initially we used to use tools from outside of the Nigerian continent.
Yeah.
Now we have software developers. We have HR tech in Nigeria that's developed that understands our own peculiarities and people can use it. So we have tools that are being generated for shop floor assistants. Your shop floor assistant in Sainsbury in the UK is different from our shop floor assistant here in Nigeria.
Right.
So the needs are peculiar. So we have software that meets the needs of the local market, developed locally for Nigerians.
Yeah.
They're working.
What about the whole discussion around work-life balance, welfare of employees? Can you track that?
Yes, you can. There are tools. I actually have a tool on my phone that tells me when I've been, you have on your computer, if you've been on your computer, it's time to take a break, time to, take time off. And during the pandemic, a lot of these tools came in because for some reason, as human beings, we think we want to, because obviously some people, that was the first time of working remotely, they want to be able to say, they give it more than they should. So they're working twice as hard as they work in the office, they're in front of their computer. So they're able to jump into, so organizations are also putting meeting, we don't meet too often because meeting takes up all your time anyway.
Right.
So they're preparing policies around work-life balance, things you should be able to do, obviously. Short meetings, otherwise you can be in Zoom meeting for Monday and it gets Zoom, what's the word now?
Fatigue,
yes.
Yeah. By the way, in fact, what do you advise companies about meetings? Do live in-person meetings, do they still exist?
They do. You know, there's something, yesterday we had a CEO's roundtable, which is an aftershot of because when we speak to HR professionals and everything, the box still lies at the desk of the CEOs to make this decision. So after we were sponsored by an organization in Lagos, and we went to their NICE office to do this thing. And this is one of the things we're talking about. And I'm glad most of the CEOs that were there were talking about strategies and things that they've implemented. You have to care about your employees. You have to. One of the sessions we spoke about is a taboo in the workplace at our conference was menopause in the workplace.
Oh, wow.
People don't talk about it.
They do not,
Women are getting to a stage. We're getting older women. They've always been women in their 40s and their 50s in the workplace. And when they begin to get the symptoms, how do you tell your boss that I'm getting off flashes? How do you regulate the air condition? How do you, things like that? So it is very important that organizations too, and I was very impressed with some of the CEOs that were in the room saying things that they put in place for their employees and things like that. It is important. It is, you know, the other generation, even the millennials. No, even the millennials have been beaten down by Nigeria, by Nigerian style of work. But the Gen Z are not going to. They know their well-being their mental well-being is very important to them.
Yeah.
They'll tell you right there if your organization is toxic, and they're not going to work there. So you have to implement work-life balance is a very important aspect of work. And people, even older people who have spent time working like jackies, as we call it in Nigeria, have now realized that, you know, with these young people challenging the order of things,
that's a change.
They are now thinking, oh my God, I've wasted all these years. So they are also looking at with upskilling as well. And obviously, we want being a global village, you can get information at the tip of your, you know, they are also going to challenge the status quo and say that I need time off. You have to be able to give time off. You have to be able to do things. So it's very important aspect of the workplace.
Artificial intelligence. It's been all the talk, ChatGPT, AI, machine learning. Will machines replace what you're doing? Will one day a machine be able to tell people whether they should take time off or take a break, increase their salary?
Machines are already going to give you data. They're already going to tell you this is you can put us, by the time AI is finished, you can, you know, things that we used to do before, salary survey, where we're writing to please send me your salary. They can pick up salaries of anything, but there's still that human aspect. They haven't become human yet. And AI is very good in recruitment. AI chat boxes can do your initial screening. Where so in a country like Nigeria with our unemployment rate, where when you are just looking for one person, about 5,000 CVs. One individual can't go through, you know, manually be going through CVs. Artificial intelligence scans through those CVs real quickly and begins to, so the chat box is asking them questions and able to help you sift. You know, so it's works on, you're supposed to use technology, AI, even ChatGPT to improve your work. Otherwise, so it's upskilling yourself and just knowing how you'll be able to work. It's not going to replace people. Obviously, you might reduce the number of staff that you have. Right. But if those staff are able to upskill themselves and make themselves more, you know, marketable, they will get other jobs and things like that.
Really quickly, just final question for you. Is there still a lucrative or, you know, rewarding career path through human resources?
Human resources is very important. You know, HR professionals just need to understand the language of their CEO. You have to speak to your CEOs in data. You have to, because when your CEO wants to make a decision on salespeople calls the head of sales because they feel it's very important. But now leaders are also beginning to understand that because now people are important and people are leaving. So you have to be able to speak data. You have to be able to speak and say, when we say this is what we want, once you speak that language. I have a friend who went from an head of HR to a CEO of an insurance company. Oh, wow. All because upskilling himself, just knowing that it's not just talking, oh, we have to go on training, or I need to, you know, just speaking the language that affects the bottom line, and it just makes you more marketable as it. So there is a career.
Sounds almost like politics. You have to, you know, understand the people, the people that you're with.
The people. That's why the theme of our conference was people, culture, and technology. It's very important. People are the base of the organization, you know.
Great stuff. Erefa Coker, founder of HRSO Africa. Thank you so much for talking to us about human resources and technology. Very informative
discussion. Thank you very much for having me.